how's it going? My name is Gabby. Welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be doing an updated bookshelf tour, and it's also going to be kind of like a room tour and an office tour. As you might recall, I have recently moved. If you missed the moving vlog, I will have that linked down below, but I am back in my old room and I have kind of redecorated my bookshelves so they look a little bit different than how they used to. I've reorganized them in a different way, and so I wanted to make this video so that you can see how I've reorganized my bookshelves and like my new office space. I do have 3 bookshelves currently. I have 2 of these wooden ones in my room, and then I have 1 in my office. I also do have a little book cart in my room where I also keep books, but I also thought this video would be good to make so that you can see all of the books that I currently own, because right before I moved, I did a pretty big book unhaul, which I can also link that down below if you missed it, but I love doing book unhauls like a few times a year because it feels good to get rid of a bunch of books that I don't need anymore to make room for the ones that I do want. But before we do jump into the bookshelf tour, I just wanted to take a second to thank today's video sponsor, which is Factor, because Factor makes meeting your nutrition goals easier than ever by delivering fresh, never frozen, dietitian approved meals right to your doorstep. I love that with Factor you get a weekly menu of 35 different options, including popular options like Calorie Smart, Keto, Protein Plus, and vegan and veggie options. You can also discover 60 add-ons every week with things like breakfast or snacks or beverages. Something that I love about Factor is the way that you save so much time with like the meal planning and stressing about cooking. I don't know about you, but I'm not the biggest fan of grocery shopping. It always feels like a waste of time. And that's why I love that with Factor you can skip the grocery store run, you can skip the prep and the cooking fatigue, and you can have a meal ready to go in just 2 minutes. You just throw this in the microwave for 2 minutes, and the quality of this food is actually so good because all of their meals are crafted by gourmet chefs who are using only ingredients with integrity so that you can be feeling your best all day long. So you can skip the overpriced takeout trap because Factor is cheaper and way more delicious. I just personally love the convenience of like never having to worry about what I'm gonna eat for dinner, especially when I get so busy during the day that I don't have time to think or plan for dinner. That's when Factor really comes in the clutch for me because then I don't have to worry about it. In just 2 minutes, I can have dinner ready to go and then I can just get back to work. So you can use my code 50gabbyreads to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. Use the link in my description. Use my code 50gabbyreads to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. What an amazing deal. Thank you so much to Factor for sponsoring today's video, and now let's get into the bookshelf tour. Alright, so when you first come into my room, there's this bookshelf in the back corner here, so we're gonna start here. Okay, so on this top shelf here, as you can see, there's quite a mix of things happening on this top shelf. Mostly in the back right here are all of my book of the month books that I decided to keep, but I actually ended up moving most of my like mystery, thriller, and horror stuff onto a different shelf. So most of the books here on this shelf are either like literary fiction or romance or like historical fiction. I mean, there are still a few like mystery thriller books back here, but most of my thrillers have moved to a different shelf. In the front here, I wanted to keep some of my favorite romance books on display in the front. Most of my Abby Jimenez, I wanted to keep them together. And then to the right, I also have a stack of some of my favorite books. I mean, right here on the bottom, I have the BTS nonfiction book that they came out with, and then I have all of my fangirl manga all together, and then I have Loveless, A Little Life, The Perks of Being a Wallflower, and Little Women, which I all consider to be some of my favorite books of all time, and I just thought that they looked really beautiful when stacked all together like that. And let me just slide this over so that you can see all of the books that are still back here. These are all of the books that I've decided to keep. All right, and then dropping down from this bookshelf to the next one here. So this one is also a bit random, I'm not gonna lie. Like, this is kind of a mix of things. So right here in the front, I have my book troop picks so far this year. These are the only 2 picks we've read for my book club so far, but I thought it'd be fun to keep them together and on display on the shelf. So this shelf does feel a little bit random to me because I do have some of my favorite books from Book of the Month down here from last year. I also put some of my hardcover Emily Henry books together, and then these are a lot of like random books that I've really enjoyed throughout the last year, but I don't really have any other place for them on my bookshelves because a lot of these books, they feel more like literary fiction or maybe even contemporary to me, so like I don't necessarily think any of these would fit on my other like genre shelves necessarily, so I just put them all here for now. And then on this side, I think the biggest change with my bookshelves is that I no longer have a full shelf dedicated to young adult books, and these are some of the only young adult books I actually decided to keep, so I put them all together here. But then I also lumped in some other books like Interesting Facts About Space and Mina and the Undead over here. And so that is this bookshelf for now. I don't know if I'm gonna keep it like this because it does feel a little bit random, but it's working for me for now. All right, and then dropping down from this shelf down to the next one. This is my new and improved romance bookshelf. I do have the giant Taylor Swift Eras Tour book here, so let me move that out of the way so you can see all the books. On this shelf, I also have this cute little deer. And this is a deer that I actually got while I was in Japan, and it's just like my favorite thing ever, so it's gonna stay on my bookshelves forever. But yeah, as you can see, these are all of the romance books that I've decided to keep and put together on this shelf. This kind of looks like how I had it before, to be honest. Like, I like to do kind of like a color-coded thing on this shelf for the most part. I mean, most of the like blues and purples I put on this side just because I think they look really cool together. And then I do have some of the like pinks and oranges kind of all together. But yeah, I really just love this romance bookshelf. I've really narrowed it down so that I only have some of my favorite romance books of all time on this shelf, because I really got rid of a lot of romances that I thought were just okay or that were like 4 stars. I don't know, like most of the books on this shelf are some of my 5-star like all-time favorite romance books, so that feels cool. And then dropping down from that bookshelf to this one, okay, I know that this shelf looks a little bit crowded and that there's a lot going on because this bookshelf is like half of like my manga and my graphic novels, and then it's half sci-fi because, you know, I've never been too big into sci-fi, but this year especially I'm trying to get more into sci-fi, so I do have a lot more sci-fi here than I did before, and that's why like I don't know if this shelf is gonna function the same or if I'm gonna have to like change this up soon. But let me show you behind. So these are all of the sci-fi books that I currently have on this shelf. I do have, you know, Project Hail Mary down here on the bottom, which is one of my favorites, and then some of these more in the front right here are some more like recent favorites when it comes to sci-fi. And then this little astronaut dude, this is my favorite thing ever. I actually recently just got this from Home Goods in January, and it's like the cutest little thing. I was like, I have to put this on my sci-fi shelf because it's the perfect little thing. Like, he can just hold all of my sci-fi books. It's like a bookend thing, I think. But like, is this not the cutest little thing you've ever seen? I adore it. And I knew I wanted to put it on my sci-fi shelf, but it's feeling a little crowded right here. Like, I don't know if this is the best place for it. So I might end up moving my sci-fi shelf eventually to like a different shelf. I don't know, I'm undecided. But anyway, these are all of the manga books that I currently own. So the ones that are right here, like right in the front that he's holding, these are all of my unread mangas, and like these are the ones that I want to read soon. So I kind of put them out on display. These in the back right here and these right here are all books that I've already read. Most of these are also books that I've read because I have almost the entire Killing Stalking series back here, as well as like a few Alice in Borderland copies. I have like PTSD Radio and just some random stuff back here. But I also still have the Saga graphic novels, which I've only read about half of the graphic novels in this collection, so I still need to read all of these. But I thought because it's sci-fi and it's graphic novels that it would be perfect to keep on the shelf. And if you wanted a peek back there, it's mostly Spy Family and Sweat and Soap, like the series that I own that are in the back there. I have this manga on top here, and this is one that I got when I was actually in Japan, and it's Spy Family Volume 1 in Japanese. Is that not the coolest thing ever? I just really wanted to own a Japanese manga because I thought it would be really cool, and it is cool. So yeah, that is that bookshelf. I know it's a little chaotic. I don't know if I'm gonna keep it this way forever, but I like it for now. And then dropping down to this bottom shelf, oh my gosh. So all of the books in the front right here, like these are all books that I've hauled very recently. So like this is a sneak preview for my next book haul, which is probably going to be coming out very soon because this bookshelf is like overflowing at this point. But after I moved all of the new books from the haul, this is all that's behind it. And this has got to be like the most random shelf of all time. And there's lots of cords down here from all the things that are on my bookshelf. But yeah, I don't really know what's happening on this bookshelf, and so that's why I thought this would be the perfect shelf to keep my recently hauled books to kind of hide this. Because I've just got some random shit down here, you know? Like, I have some random books that I've read in, like, the last few years. Some of these are romance books, but I just didn't want to include them on this romance shelf for whatever reason. Maybe they didn't, like, fit the color scheme very well. I don't know, but this is just a random batch of books right here. All of these books I have read. I just don't know what to do with them. I think that's so much better to just see the recently hauled books kind of like blocking that entire shelf so you can't really see what's going on back there. Yeah, very excited to film my next book haul because I've just hauled so many things recently. Yeah, that is the overview of the first bookshelf. I really love how this bookshelf looks for the most part. Like, I'm really happy with how it turned out. I think if I'm gonna change anything, I might actually change it so that I put some sci-fi books on this shelf instead, to create more space down here. I don't know. I feel like that could be something that I might change in the future, but for now, I'm happy with how it looks. As you pan to the right in my room, you'll see I have this little dream board here. The dream board hasn't changed too much over the years. This is actually a dream board that Obed got me like a few years ago now, and I just love it so much. I'm still putting new things on my dream board all the time. It's just one of my favorite things to have in my room, and I love that it just sits above my bed. And then when you swivel to the right of my bed over here, we have another bookshelf tucked back into this corner. So I do have a bookshelf in this corner, and then when you go to the right, I have my TV. I love having the dangly leaves behind my TV. That's something that I've still done over the last few years, and it just makes it feel so cozy in here. This is a unit that my mom is letting me use while I'm here. It has a fireplace that actually works. Like, you can turn it on and it will blast some heat out of here. So like, I'm very excited to use this, especially on colder nights. I think it's gonna be so nice. But I also love that this little unit has a lot of extra space, like a lot of extra stuff that I don't even know what to use this extra space for. I mean, maybe I could stack some books like in here potentially in the future. I don't know, but it's pretty empty for now because I'm just trying to figure out like how to use it. But that is very exciting. I really do love how that looks. All right, so this bookshelf. Okay, so starting with this top bookshelf here, this is probably gonna be the one that like looks the most familiar because it basically is the same thriller bookshelf that I had before, because I do have so many thriller books, you know, like it is one of my most read genres, so I really thought I'm still gonna keep at least one of these bookshelves dedicated to just all the thrillers that I have. And so behind these books, as you can see, I just have even more thrillers kept back here. And this globe is another one of my favorite things on my bookshelves. Like, I just love it so much. It's so small and so cute. And this is actually another gift from Rachel's fiance, Obed. Like, he's really good at giving gifts. Like, I love this. Okay, and then dropping down to the next shelf, you see, this is where things kind of get interesting. This is where I felt like I changed the most with my bookshelf, because I decided to bring over all of my book of the month books that are either thriller or horror books, and I decided to put them all together on the same shelf. So now, instead of just having like one thriller bookshelf and one horror bookshelf, I have 3. So this bookshelf also down here is a mix of like thriller and horror stuff, because I figured, you know, the primary genres that I'm reading these days are mostly thriller and horror books and romance books, but I decided to keep my romance bookshelf over there for now. So this shelf is almost entirely dedicated to the thriller and horror stuff, which I do really like having it all in one place like this. So let me bring you a little bit closer so you can see all the things that are on this bookshelf, but I thought it would be nice to kind of maybe try to organize it by color just a little bit. So these are all of the like, you know, black spine books that I have that are kind of like thriller horror stuff. But then I decided to put some of the thicker books up here, you know, because Black River Orchard and the Reformatory are pretty thick. Like they're definitely more dense. And then these ones just kind of got like randomly left over where like they didn't really fit with any of the colors happening down here. So I just put them up here for now. But I do really like how this bookshelf looks with a lot of my hardback, because like the main thing I wanted on this bookshelf was for them to all be hardcovers. So some of these are not like book of the month copies exactly, but most of them are, and I just think it looks really cool all together like that. And then when you drop down onto this shelf down here, this shelf is another mix of the thriller and horror stuff, but this shelf is mostly my horror shelf. These are all of the horror novellas that I own. I mean, there's a mix of some stuff down here that's like not exactly novella length, but I love having all of the horror novellas all together like that. I think it looks so cool. And then back here, I do have a lot of my, you know, horror books. Like most of the shelf is horror. There is a mix of some thriller stuff in here, like Cross My Heart and Not So Perfect Strangers. These are a few thrillers. And then same with Look in the Mirror. This is a thriller, but most of the books on this shelf are all horror books. And I just feel like it looks so great all together like this. And then after all of the thriller and horror bookshelves, when you drop down to these last 2 bookshelves on here, these are all books that are on my TBR. And I decided to make 2 shelves dedicated to my TBR because, you know, like the TBR books are getting out of control. Like they really are, as you can see. And so on this top shelf right here, I kind of tried to organize this in a way. Let me just move my little Decala lamp. I organized it so that like almost all of the like thriller and horror books that are on my TBR are all on the same shelf right here, just so that if I'm in the mood for like a thriller, I know exactly where to look, you know, like these are all the thriller and horror books right here. I also have like some random copies up here that kind of also fit into like thriller or horror. I mean, I know Wolf Song is technically more like romance, I guess, but the rest of these are all thriller horror type of stuff. I have a random mix back here of like a bunch of different genres. Like there's like some nonfiction stuff down here. You know, I have like Wicked. I have some sci-fi stuff. Like, I don't know, back here, like this is a totally random stack of books that are still on my TBR. And then the ones that I have in the front right here, these are the ones that are like higher priority to me. Like I really want to try to make an effort to read these sooner rather than later. And so I don't want to forget about them. So I decided to put them like front and center so that I know these are the ones that I want to read very soon. And then dropping down to the final TBR shelf down here, this is also kind of like a random mix of things, but I did decide to put all of the romance books. These are most of the romance books that I still have on my TBR. I wanted them to all be together like this so I can easily spot them. And then these ones in the front right here, these are some random like hardcovers that I just wanted to keep together. I do have some horror stuff in here. There's like some sci-fi, there's some thrillers. I don't know, it's kind of like a mix of things right here. Then when you look behind, these TBR books are mostly pretty random. I do have some, you know, like newer releases in here, like Same As It Ever Was. I also have the In Between Bookstore and this one that's like kind of a newer release back here. But then I do have some stuff that's like a little bit older, like Chain Gang All-Stars. I have Divine Rivals, which I still need to read. Same with like The City We Became. Hello, a book that's been on my TBR forever. You know, as I start to do some of the backlist Bonanza episodes this year, these are some books back here that I'm like hoping to get to, you know? I also do have a number of different arcs back here, but some of these arcs were like from last year that I still have not gotten around to. So now these books will be books that are going to be eligible on my, you know, backlist Bonanza, because pretty much for the backlist Bonanza, now I'm going to be including any 2024 releases as well, because now they're technically considered backlist, right? So that's going to be exciting. So I'm excited to finally get through both of these bookshelves this year. Hopefully I can get through a good chunk of these books this year because, you know, they're books that I own that I still need to read. I also thought I would mention that right now I'm just temporarily keeping all of the books that I read in February and then in March on these little stacks right here. I don't really know what to do with these for now. I think for now I'm just going to keep these books like on this bottom shelf in the front, but I really like to separate the books that I've currently been reading. I mean, usually I wouldn't keep the month before, but like I haven't yet filmed a February wrap up, so I think I want to leave these out for now because I think at the end of March I'm going to do a combined like March and February wrap up and just go through all of them. So for now I'm leaving those out, but I just wanted to let you know all of these books are still here and they're just sitting here. But anyway, moving along, I did want to show you my little book cart over here before I show you the office. So up on this top shelf, as you can see, I'm not really utilizing this very well. I now realize because, okay, hear me out. When I used to live in the apartment, this used to be like my nightstand basically, you know, like I was using this as a nightstand. So like anything that I needed at night, I would reach over and just grab it and use it. Now this is on the other side of the room. So I think maybe I should be utilizing this as like extra space for books and I should just like get rid of all this stuff. So I'm now just realizing this. I think it would actually be more beneficial for me to move out all of this stuff and just use this top shelf. Like maybe that's where I can put all the books that I've read so far this month, you know, like maybe I can just keep them on this shelf. I think that would be really cute. So I think I'm going to do that. Something that I love about this book cart though is that it's magnetic. So I have some of my magnets from Japan on this bookshelf, which I just think are so freaking cute. So yeah, and then dropping down onto this book cart here, this is kind of chaotic, you know, because right here, these are all of my book tabs because my friend Brittany, oh my gosh, she just got me a ton of new book tabs, which I'm very excited about. And so they're just kind of all like sitting right here for now. I have some bookmarks, you know, some book tabs, things like that here. I'll probably move these actually down to this bottom shelf. But right here, these are all of the books that are either next up on my TBR. Like these are some of the books that I'm hoping to read in March. I have the Book Troop pick right here, and then I have some books for Screaming Color, like my pink little readathon here as a potential option. And then I just have some books that I've recently checked out from the library. So like these are some of my library holds. I don't know if I'm actually going to get to these in time before they're due, but I just have a few things checked out of the library right now. So I just decided to put them up here so that I don't forget. And then, you know, this bottom shelf right now, it's not very well being utilized either. I just have some stuff that's like my bookish, you know, like highlighters and like some extra cords, things like that down there. But I do think it would be smarter, like I should just put all of this stuff down here and then I will make this top into a bookshelf. Like I will make this all of my recent reads. I think that makes more sense. Anyway, all right, so coming into the office, I'm so excited about this new space because, you know, the walls in the office, I love these walls. If you recall from when I moved back into this house, me and my sister actually repainted this room and the walls in this room are kind of like a soft peach like an orangey bright color. I don't know, I really love it in here. And so my desk is now sitting in front of the window, which I really, really love having my desk in front of the window like this. I think it's amazing. I haven't really like organized it too much yet. I mean, as you can see, I have this little like teal mat that I have. This was actually a gift from my sister and I really love having this. It just makes it feel a little bit more put together, you know, a little bit more decorated. I still have my keyboard. That was also a gift from my sister for this computer. Yeah, I have, you know, like my Hobonichi cousin planner that I use like almost every single day. I just have that there. And I have a lot of like pens and different things that I'm keeping on that side of the desk. But overall, I just really love how this space feels. And then to the left of this space is where I have another bookshelf in this room. I don't know where or if I'm going to hang these up. I mean, I know there's definitely some space here if I wanted to hang it up here or maybe over there. My mom did hang up this mirror over here, but we're not like totally sure if that's gonna stay. I don't know, but there's definitely some place where I can put those. I just haven't had the time to do it yet. I also do have my guitar in here. This is my beloved. I also have, oh my God, did you see? I have this little guitar pick that I got in Chicago. Anyway, so this bookshelf is the final bookshelf that I own, and these are all of the other books that I own. Like, this is it. So on the top of this bookshelf, I'm like utilizing this for all of my journaling stuff. I have a lot of my stuff that I use for like media journaling and like scrapbooking, like all that kind of stuff is here. I really like to have it organized in this little thing, and I'm so glad that I actually have this extra space, because back at the apartment, all of this stuff was stuff that I just put under my desk. So it's kind of nice to actually have the extra space and like be able to put this up somewhere. I also still have my D-Day movie popcorn bucket that I got from Regal when this was in theaters. And this thing is nice, dude. It's like freaking aluminum or something. I don't know. But in this thing, I actually just keep some extra snacks in there. I have like a protein bar and a granola bar and like different things like that. And in this thing, I threw a lot of stuff in here when I was moving, but for now it's holding a lot of my BTS photo cards are in here. All right, and then dropping down to this bookshelf here, all the books on this shelf for the most part are more books that are on my TBR. Like almost all of the books, to be honest, on this bookshelf in the office are all books that I still haven't read. I mean, there are some exceptions, of course, because like, of course I've read Evelyn Hugo. It's one of my favorite books of all time, but I just decided to keep my ARC copy in here for now. The rest of these books are all books that I have not yet read, and so that's why I'm keeping them back here. Like, this is definitely going to be more books that I will include in the Backlist Bonanza episodes this year for sure. And then dropping down, these are even more books that are still on my TBR. Like, these are the ones that I decided to keep that I haven't yet unhauled, because these are all still books that I want to read. There's some like young adult stuff over here, thriller, horror. There's like some sci-fi horror stuff in here. I don't know, there's a ton of random stuff on this shelf, but these are all backlist books still that I need to get to. And then dropping down to this final shelf, this is where things get a little bit chaotic, because this is most of my Stephen King collection down here, but it's kind of a mix of Stephen King books that I have read and then books that I haven't yet read. Most of these books are books that I've read. I do have all of my Heartstopper series right here, but I have not yet read A Court of Thorns and Roses. I've just been like hanging on to this. I do think that this is a book that I could try to read this year, to like read books outside of my comfort zone. I don't know, but I bought this years ago, like literally years and years and years, and I just still have it. It's just still sitting here. So that's one book that I haven't read on this shelf, but everything else I have read here. And then behind the Heartstopper back here, I have some more books that I have read. I have the entire Lunar Chronicles series still. These are books that I used to love. Like, I don't know if I would love them if I read them now, but I can't bring myself to get rid of them because I loved that series so much. So I'm hanging on to them for now. And then also this Stephen King book is back here. This is Needful Things. This is still one that's on my TBR. And then same with like, so in front here, these are some books that are on my TBR. Like The Outsider is one that I still have not yet read that I would like to read. But then this is one, Salem's Lot, that I have read. So like back here is all my Stephen King. But it's kind of confusing the way I organize this because I've read all of these except for Sleeping Beauties. Like Sleeping Beauties is the only one back here that I have not yet read because it's freaking massive and I'm scared. But all these other ones I have actually read, and I've just decided to keep them because at one point I really wanted to like have a big Stephen King collection, but I don't really know if that's the case anymore. Like, I don't know if I care to anymore, but for now I'm hanging on to them. These two books are also on my TBR, so I feel like this bookshelf is a little bit chaotic because this one is the only one that's kind of a mix of like TBR books and books that that I've already read. I also have on this bookshelf this mass market paperback size of The Hating Game, which this is the second copy of this book that I own because The Hating Game is like one of my favorite books of all time. I think I've read it like 3 times now, but I just adore this mass market paperback size. Like it's so cute. That is a wrap on this bookshelf in this room. You know, as I mentioned, it's mostly TBR books that I keep on this shelf back here. Just a lot of backlist stuff that I'm hoping to get to eventually. But these are all books that I am listing as options for my Backlist Bonanza series that I'm working on this year as well. I think that series is really fun because it encourages me to pick up books from this backlist shelf, you know, and like find things that maybe I'll love. Like maybe there's a 5-star sitting right here and I don't even know. All right, so that is a look at the bookshelf tour for now. I know that I definitely have some room for improvement here. Like there's definitely some things that I'm probably gonna be changing. Mostly that book cart that I have, I know that I'm not utilizing that space the way that I could be doing it. So that's gonna be the first thing that I change. But also let me know what you think. Like, do you think I should move the sci-fi shelf a little bit higher so that I can see the little astronaut dude? Cause like that would be cool actually if I could move the astronaut dude to a higher shelf so that way you can actually see him in the background when I'm filming sometimes. Ugh, I just love it so much. It's the cutest thing that I've ever seen. What should I name him? You should let me know if you have any cool name ideas because this guy deserves a name. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I really do appreciate it and I will see you very soon with another video. Bye.